了，德国军推到3个，终于推到4个，这边的空。又是一个2打3的画像去碰遇了。
电竞速就要被离开一个前4，完了，左边的 Rock 看起来这边打得好，
但是自以为这个线给弹回来，又是 Alex 的一个壁咚。准备要在这一波将解放人全员收掉。
差了一个位置，又是第3个，我的天啊！
两个是拿了一个搭手，开始持续的追击。现在的话，要手上的 triple，
这一波手上挂了一个治愈，多你一个治愈之后，这边点输了。
再一个红丸的一个推，拿着不帮忙变效果，把小林给推了回去。
Welcome back into the loser finals here in the PCS. We have taken it all the way to a game 5. This final one is going to decide who gets to go to Worlds alongside with CTBC Flying Oysters. Before we figure out and dig into this series, we have to thank our sponsors once again in CTBC Bank and of course China Airlines that have been with us throughout this entire postseason. You guys have been wonderful, and so have you, Nightstar. We are here at the brink. It feels so bad, but one of these teams is going to be grounded. They are going to be going on summer vacation after this one. It's been a hard-fought series. We've seen so many brilliant moments, but what do you see of this final game here?
It's gonna have to come down to what do BYG have to bring to the table, because when we look at this team, they have much deeper champion pool, ironically enough. Even though that was definitely an issue for them during the regular season, and we constantly harp on, you know, Minji, he's got only a few champions that he can excel at. However, they've also shown that they have picks that the side of PSG can't deal with. That's why we see the repeated Lucian, Kalista, Fiora bans on the table nonstop, and I just want that Fiora in the game 5 to just go and blinds pick it in the first phase.
Don't leave it for PSG to ban it out in the second rotation. We saw how good it was in game 1 where Likai 1v3. And if we think about the entire series, without that Fiora, I think PSG has been winning over 90% of the time. Like, if you just look at game time and who's been ahead, it has just been PSG, because the Fiora unlocks the potential for a side lane split push. Without the Fiora, Beyond Gaming just don't have side lane pressure, and that shuts down a wide majority of compositions that they could possibly go. We're going to be taking a look at the final draft of this series. PSG starting out with the Lucian ban, as always. Beyond Gaming sticking to their guns. Azir, Yuumi off the table.
Yeah, the Yuumi is just a pick that Kino has not picked up whatsoever, so that pick makes a lot of sense. And it really just comes down to, for both of these teams, what is the change up when it comes to the third ban? And for BYG, they maintain that Poppy ban. For PSG, they'll also maintain the Silas ban. Here, okay, they are shifting things up, going for the Sivir change up. That'll be the first pick locked in. That offers PSG the ability to lock in the Ahri themselves if they want to, but I think it will most likely be a Sejuani locked in for them, and maybe then we have a couple of options for that next pick, but it does look like they want to just go ahead, lock in this area, and hide options for their R3.
Yeah, we'll see what they go for here. It typically has been the Sejuani, like you talked about. Murray also has somewhat of a pinch champion pool. I think there's a market difference between the Sejuani and as you call it. I would much prefer the Sejuani. If I was Corky drafting this one here, see what they get here. Yep, it is going to be the Sejuani, so potentially another front-to-back composition being selected here. Beyond Gaming, oh, they switch gears here. Are going to go with a much more insured engage and a much tankier champion in the buy. This is something that you've been calling for all series. Congratulations, Nightstar. You get your wish, and the Ahri is still there for me.
And if PSG do lock in the Swain, there is still deletion potential in the lane phase from the side of BYG because of how easy it is to execute. It's very similar to the Lee Sin Syndra combination we've seen in the past. This is the modern day Lee Sin Syndra. And going into the second phase, the one thing we won't see is, once again, that Fiora will come off the table. So we need to see some sort of diversity from BYG in this top lane, because while the Aatrox, you can see a situation where it could play out, it does feel like it has underwhelmed in the past 3 games. Even in the game that they did win, it didn't feel like it had a ton of impact.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the Aatrox. I wonder what you think about maybe just going back to some fundamentals. The Gnar, the Gwen, they have been nerfed, but honestly, they're still somewhat playable. You know, we see them across the regions this time around, and maybe PSG is going to make that decision for them as they lock in the Aatrox. So PSG still sticking to the death ball style. It's Beyond Gaming's turn to answer right here. What do they have? I don't think this is it, but we'll see what the top laner and the support is going to be. Okay.
Gragas would allow you to play more front to back, gives a little bit of disengage. So it's honestly not a bad choice if they do want to pick more disengage heavy, but the Gwen also brings a little bit more damage. So if Minji goes for the Everfrost build, there will be a little bit more damage coming in from the magic department with this Gwen pick.
It's been a while, you know, she's had a much weaker laning phase, but if you get to that late game, like PSG most of the time does allow you to get close to 30 minutes, then she is a force to be reckoned with. Now PSG has to round out the final pick. Kaiwing looking at his support. When things get dire, Kaiwing typically gets last pick, and he locks in the Braum again. A quiet game, but honestly, he didn't have to do all that much in the previous one. Very strong pick. They're sticking to what works. The question is, do you think Beyond Games' adaptations are enough this time around?
The change was to go ahead, snag yourself that Sivir, and with this composition, they do have a little bit more pick potential with the extra movement speed from the Sivir, and then also having that vibe. I think the key to this game number 5 will be this top side, which hasn't been a factor for most of this series. The picks have been, but not really ganking around or trying to influence that top side with these junglers because of how bot heavy with the dragons and with how influential their bot laners have been, right? Wako and Unify being a key component to how they win fights. But I honestly think this match will come down to Likai and Hanabi, who gets advantage in the lane phase and then transition that into smashing some of these team fights.
I would love to see a top lane brawl as well, and for your information, we do have the Ignite on the top side, so that means whoever wins out is going to get that extra mileage there. If PSG are able to shut Gwen down, could lead into a chain gank. In the meantime, looking across these lanes right here, it still looks like things are quite favorable for PSG in the raw laning phase. We will see how they play out this level 1. So far, we've had very quiet starts. No one willing to push shenanigans, but with Kaiwing on Braum, I have an inkling that might not be the case this time around. We're taking a look across the rift. No one spotted so far just yet. Could be hiding in any of these brushes. And no, it's a game pause.
What better way to finish out this 5-game series, marathon series, than to start out with a pause? And it does look like it might be a bit of a lengthy pause too, because we already see Husha taking his headset off. So that's never a good sign. Hopefully it's not as long as the TSM one.
Oh, please don't jinx it, please. Oh boy, I woke up and I was like eating lunch and I'm like, what? TSM is still on? That's not their usual schedule. And I looked in, it's like, oh boy. I hope we get into the game soon. It looks like an issue with Husha's computer right here. does get nervous at times, so see if things are all fixed. Looks like we're going right back into game. Yeah, everything looks normal. The players are already talking, so that typically means that the issue has been resolved. You can't really talk in these extended breaks here. You know, it gives teams extra time to kind of figure out their composition. So if the teams are talking, usually means that we should be coming in game pretty soon. Maybe just doing this short audio check here. We're listening in on production, see if they have any updates on the situation right here.
Yeah.
We're back into the game. We got that from our production. So
There we go.
just a short pause. I am absolutely relieved. I do not want to see a 2-hour marathon drawn out for absolutely no reason. I don't
Or
enjoy
game
this
5.
series that much. Okay, you know, I would much rather have game time.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one. And we'll see. It will be Unsealed Spellbook for both of these mid laners.
Hmm.
And even a Spellbook for Kino. So
Yeah.
maybe a lot of focus around these objectives. Maybe that's the game plan shift, is that, hey,
Double
can't-
smite.
yeah, if we can't win these smite battles, we'll just bring more of them.
Okay, that's an interesting take. We'll see if it works out here. Biggest thing to note, of course, is this mid lane. The last time we saw it, it was a bit of a disaster for Minji.
Yep.
Like you said, it's not always it's a bit of a skill matchup. You know, it doesn't always go inside of the Swain. So we'll see if it works out this time. A big thing to note here is in the level 1s, we do have Beyond Gaming spotting out Bury already. They know he's started the red and gone down for the bot lane. So we'll see if they can kind of use that timing difference in the jungle pathing here. Meantime, Vi still going towards the top side.
And it does look like both of these junglers will end towards this bot lane, which is a little bit different from our previous games. It was more of a bot to top approach, but
Oh, we see the pings going down here. Husha probably going to pay a visit over to Swain. He's taking the long route around. He knows that Bury's on the bottom side of the map. This is going to be difficult for Gory. Gory, I think he senses something. In comes the flash into the charm, and they get the damage. Beautiful stuff.
It does involve them burning both of their flashes, but a well-executed first blood at just under 3 minutes coming in for BYG, and this is the start they needed. Get Minji that extra gold. He's going to have that kill thrown into him. It's not going to be an assist, and that will also allow him to reset here, get this wave crashed in, and get a big buy for himself.
Yeah, a much better start for Minji. This time around, he's going to get the extra gold to pad his stats here. It all really started with that early warding down, so good job by Beyond Gaming. Meanwhile, we get a look at how Hanabi can play this champion. He's trading very well here. Likai has no flash. Bury coming in.
He's dead.
Likai is, he's got nowhere to go. So he's just going to save everything here. Not going to use Ignite. Does fall down. Gives the kill over to Hanabi.
Yeah, good answer coming in from the side of PSG. Of course, into the Aatrox, you'd like that extra heal cut coming in from the Ignite. But definitely a situation where, as the game progresses, he might really miss out on not having the Ghost. As it could be hard for him to stick on to some of these targets, especially when there's a Braum in the game. Does so well into these melee champions or low range compositions. But at the very least, BYG, they have a good start to the game, get really the weak point of the sore point of their last couple games involved early on, and maybe that opens up the rest of the map, because we saw in game number 3, he fell behind, couldn't roam with the Talia. Game number 4, the Swain was just immovable. So game number 5, everything
the
on
charm
the table.
lands, instant flash in, Ignite goes down, Gory dies for the second time, and Beyond Gaming, they get the chain gank to go through.
They're learning, Clemens. They finally picked a page out of the recipe to defeat CFO, right?
Oh,
It's
you should just treat him
chain-ganking
like
mission.
mission.
Yeah, and
Okay.
here they managed to find back-to-back ganks onto Gory. Gory still has the flash available, but who cares? You've gotten two kills on this mid laner, slowing him so far down, denying him a lot of EXP here.
I'm not sure Mission would, or Gory would enjoy that comparison, but I think there's some kernels of truth in there. We do have a great start here, and I think the biggest thing, as you mentioned, is just Minji and Husha, for the first time in a long time in this series, can start moving across the map. We have that bottom lane that should be pushed in most cases here, so it could start get a little bit dangerous. Minji going to take a bad trade here, but he's has so much of gold lead, it doesn't really matter. In the meantime, Husha is going to start out this Drake uncontested here. It doesn't look like Bury is going to come here.
And that's the big change, right? Because you're able to keep Gory down.
Bury coming in.
Fine. You have to be careful with how he pass here, but it'll be fine. They have a strong mid laner play around. And yeah, so these trades look so much different, right? Because you're not fighting into a lost chapter Swain. Instead, you're fighting into a mana crystal Swain. So the base damages are much, much different. And that has helped considerably. We'll have the ultimate now to maintain his safety along with the flash coming
Hanabi
up
could
soon.
be in a bit of trouble here. We see a 3-man collapse, but he makes it out just in time. Good spider senses there coming in by Hanabi. And looking at the bot lane here, still a very sizable CS advantage on the side of Unified. Of course, a lot of it due to that Drake take here. But so far, that's the only shining spot on the map for PSG. Kino face checks. This one's going to take a lot of damage, but able to get out.
It's out before the stun procs, which is really, really nice there. And for BYG, up in this top side, Lee Kai holding up so far. Hasn't had a great lane phase in any of these games, really, except for the Fiora, but even then was still behind in the CS department. Of course, had the scaling factor. This game will still have a little bit of a scaling factor, although now he's going to have some friends to visit him. Did use the ward in the top bush, so it's going to come down to spider senses.
In comes Bury. He does have the ultimate. He's holding it there, but Lee Kai holding onto his E, and with the use of his Hollowed Mist is going to get out scot-free.
Yep. And Hanabi on the Aatrox taking his chance onto this champion, also going for the Eclipse build.
I want to say this is Hanabi's actually least played top laner in the postseason so far. We'll see Hanabi getting kind of poked down, but he knows the buy is coming, so just backs out. And we do have Husha now starting out onto this Herald. This is getting a little bit out of hand here. PSG doesn't look like they have any will to contest this one either. You're looking for a potential cut down onto Blanco. Let's see if Bury can find him in the brush right here. He does find the Sivir. Holds on to the ultimate for now.
Yeah, no one really around to follow up on that, unfortunately. And now it will be a Herald in the back pockets of the side of BYG, along with the extra 200 gold. And it does look like they might want to just fight over this red buff. We see the collapse coming. And Bury's going to have to just... Oh, Bury does secure it with the smite. Or he's forced back off.
Didn't look like Minji wanted to do the collapse right there. That was a little bit risky for them, for sure. And I think Beyond Gaming makes the somewhat correct choice not to, throw everything at a red buff. Instead, they stop Unified from getting even more guaranteed gold onto the plates there. And they go back to normal. They still have a winning mid lane to play around, so just taking it slowly until the next Drake. We have Kaiwi now showing up into the mid lane. Very interesting move here. I wonder where he's going to go after this one. Looks like they're going to venture into the red side jungle. These jungle deep wards have just been so impactful throughout the entire series.
Yeah, and
Minji.
Okay, so Minji forcing Gory to stay. It's actually really, really key. because he does have the sustain advantage in the mana bar. So he's just gonna try and crash this wave, whereas Gory really has no other choice than to wait for the wave to fully come in. And Hanabi, I think he knows what's up.
Yeah, he smells something fishy. He knows that there's no one on the bottom side so far, so that must mean Husha is in this corner. He's not going to walk up. He's going to let the wave go away, and Husha respects him for that. I like that. Husha as well just goes back, picks up his items, and, you know, Hanabi still has to play under the assumption that Vi could still be up there.
Yeah. And Hanabi is given some resources to possibly take over. Of course, has the kill. So his Eclipse should come online pretty quickly, especially given the fact that Likai did opt for the boots, which means that's 300 gold not going into a mythic. So Hanabi positions in a spot where he could potentially really take over this top lane 1v1. And that might be critical in giving PSG that possible out to really allow this Zeri to start scaling up.
We have the Drake coming in, and everyone is coming through this corner to kind of contest this one. We have Husha with the Herald, so there could be a fork going down somewhere. It looks like Beyond Gaming trying to look for a pick on the side.
Into the bot lane.
Wow, Hanabi full committing to this one. Beyond Gaming, if they're not, if they don't recognize this, they could walk into the 4v5. See what Beyond Gaming do right here. Kino is going to cleanse out just all right. The TP comes in a little bit late here.
Oh,
Kino going in, catches 3 onto the ramp here. Wako on the side, but they can't push the damage through.
They can't finish off the kill.
Still staying alive into the backline. That's going to be 1 kill. Likai with the needlework.
They're too tanky.
Down Hanabi on the side. They do get 1, but the chase down is there for Unify. He goes in too deep. He gets knocked out. He goes down, and that's going to be Gory as well. The charm lands, and Beyond Gaming forced the issue. That's going to be a number of kills going over. 1 for 3 trade. Beyond Gaming run down PSG.
BYG, they managed to find the fight. They don't get the dragon. That does go into the hands of PSG, but it is going to be Hex Tech Soul. So definitely combat stats. Everyone are going to be wanting to snag for themselves. And we see the adjustments coming in from BYG. This time, it's going to be the Leandries built up onto the Ori. A little bit more damage here to cut through these meatball targets. And it does look like the adjustments have been made coming in from the coaching staff, relaying to their players as we will see the replay of the fight. Kino gets hit by the CC, and really well done with this unsealed spellbook, because he's able to cleanse out, reset the fight. It's cooldowns burned by the side of PSG, and then he sees his opportunity, flashing forward, going in, gets a 3-man, and it looked like Gory's positioning was actually perfect, because he's able to eat so much of this. But then as the fight sort of goes downhill, Unified overextends himself. The side of PSG, they say, oh, it's a free Likai out on the side. But someone doesn't get the memo.
Yeah, I think they just split targets at the very end there. There was no way Unify would be able to finish off that 1v3. I think that was a communication lapse, unfortunately, for PSG. You know, not really their best execution. Just kind of a miscommunication happening on their side. And, you know, coming into Game 5, any one of those mistakes could cost you your path to World. So, hope we get the top level of play from both of these teams. We are taking a look here, and there will be a pause again. We're going to listen into production on what the reason for this pause will be. But so far, looking across the map right here, it still looks like we're going into standard lanes, and we just had the tower plating show up a little bit. It is, I believe, 3-1 in favor of Beyond Gaming.
Yeah, so Beyond Gaming with this gold advantage and the build adjustments, I think really set them on a path that it is a much more possible game for them, right? They don't have to be super far ahead in order to win this game, because they have the items to try and deal with it, and they have done a reasonable amount of adaptations in the draft to also help support that. So it's definitely a much more winnable game for the side of Beyond Gaming, whereas in the previous game, if they weren't out to a huge lead, it was going to be nigh impossible for them to make their way back.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot more outs this time. You know, it's not just get a massive lead in laning phase or in early skirmishes and then snowball. They can actually hang with PSG into the late game in this one, even with the Zeri and the Swain on the other side here. Bury might be coming into danger here. There's a lot of things going down. Bury is still unaware of his surrounding. If he goes over the wall right here, he could just run into a charm. Indeed, he does, but he's so tanky right now. Sin is going to be able to get out. We're looking at the collapse here, and it is Beyond Gaming on the objective first. It doesn't look like there's going to be a full contest. Maybe Bury can find the steal here. He does have the flash available to him, but it's a little bit too late. And again, the neutral objective goes to Beyond Gaming.
And it's really just a mythic difference, because Bury doesn't have his mythic, Gory doesn't have his mythic. Because BYG do have their mythics online in the mid jungle combination, it means PSG have no other choice than to just concede it. Now, I mean, look at this Minji build. He is already 1.5 items. He is very far ahead of Gory, as Gory should be very close to completing the Leandries, but it does mean you're still lagging a bit behind in your item build.
We have seen PSG just come back from these situations so many times before as well, so you know, we got a long game ahead of us. I like PSG's potential to kind of just get a target on with the Sejuani and just run everyone down. Like, the thing here is, if they find a lucky hit onto Minji, they could just instantly close it down. So that's what we're going to be looking for. The burst potential is there. The most important thing for PSG here is to stick to their targets, not allow Beyond Gaming to kind of weasel their way back and forth across these ramps. We're going to get Beyond Gaming coming in with the Herald fork here. Very standard played right in front of the Hextech Drake. See if PSG are going to try and stop this. Looks like they're not going to be able to, as they will shove with this Herald. But in comes the engage. The charm lands onto Gory. He goes down. That's a 4th death, but Hanabi is holding down the front. Can he keep on? No. The Needlework cuts him down as well. The decisiveness works out for Beyond Gaming again. They get the tower. They get the kill, and they're turning around for their second Drake.
3-second dragon on the table here. They should have more than enough members to allow the recalls to come through. Some of their carries. I think Wako thought Baron was up and available because he was running straight towards that top lane, but realizes, hey, it's only 17 minutes into the game. Turns his attention back around, and that will be a 2nd dragon to their name, and that's a 4th death for Gory.
These flash-ins are just killing PSG. We're going to watch this again. I think Gory just got caught off guard here. Watch Kino here as
he got knocked back
too. Flash. Oh, yeah. So unfortunate. He didn't expect that one.
Yeah, actually got betrayed by the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald getting the knockback, puts him in the perfect position. And Kino takes full advantage of that situation. We saw him excel on the Mumu pick, and if the side of BYG take this game 5, no doubt it's on the back of Kino, only doing 237 damage, but that led to all the rest of the damage pulling through.
A really good chain there. A charm lands after the knockback into Kino, just instantly flashing in, and that just catches PSG off guard again and again. And that's the problem with these battle mages like Swain. If you're not ahead, it feels kind of difficult to play the game out. You don't have the stats to just raw tank your way through. So the way PSG has to play this is they have to rely on Bury. Bury has to lead the charge when it comes to these team fights. Swain can't make it into the fray first. Beyond Gaming now moving towards the top side. Looks like PSG don't really have a say in this one. They're very far behind on the rotation, and big chunk gonna go over.
The big difference here with the Sivir versus the Zeri pickup as well here in this game is the fact that on 2 items, Sivir does do a lot more damage than the Zeri on 2 items. Zeri on 3 items, definitely a different beast, as you will just be able to crit from long range, but Sivir on 2, very, very domineering in these fights, especially when you're able to maintain that front-to-back formation, which is exactly what happened for BYG, because they're the ones initiating these fights. They're not waiting for PSG to come in on flanks, where all of a sudden it becomes a lot more hairy for your Sivir.
Oh, we're gonna have a teleport incoming from Kino using the spell book to the best of his abilities. This should be spotted out. PSG do know that this is here. Corey's still walking up. This could be so dangerous here. I think PSG might be trying to set up a trap to see if they can get something lucky, but there's too many members from Beyond Gaming here, and they do have to back off in the end.
Yeah, PSG just trying to stem the bleeding at this point. Try and get to that second item, because right now Gory just sitting on the components of what will most likely be that Zanya's, and Bury still yet to hit the Mythic, opting for once more the Warmog start, which definitely I don't have a big issue with it. It's just a lot harder to utilize it when you are playing from behind.
Yeah, when people can still chunk through you, it makes the Warmog nudge kind of hard to do. We saw what Usha was doing previously in the series. It's just, well, my HP is infinite. You can't kill me with a burst, so I can still walk out. That's not the case when you're going up against this Minji. And we do see the Focus Horizon already done here, so even padding extra damage if she lands the charm. Being very confident about the play coming in here. They do have a ton of immobilization, though, so it certainly could work out. It's very easy to chain this charm when you have a Vi on your team. Beyond Gaming now setting up for this situation. Kami might be caught out here. He's kind of baiting for it. And we do have Beyond Gaming now going into the 1-3-1 with their side lane leads.
And now we're just sort of waiting for this next dragon to spawn. I don't think PSG will go ahead and pull the trigger, because it doesn't look like they're very close in some of these item timings. Of course, with Unified only on 2 items, it makes that also a very difficult task. Strongest member, not quite at the same level as the rest of BYG. And that should be a pretty easy 3rd dragon for BYG. And for PSG, the real contest will come around this Baron buff, trying to prevent BYG from securing that, because if Beyond Gaming do secure that, this game becomes that much harder, because you look at their composition, they have no wave clear. It is almost impossible to deal with these super or Baron empowered minions that they will be forced into engages that they do not want to take.
Alright, PSG look like they're gearing up for a contest. Everyone is converging on this spot. They might be able to get Minji to get the flash out of him. Minji holds on to the Spirit Rush here. He's going in goes.
Oh, another engage!
In goes Rakani. He gets a 4-man engage across the board right here. Corey is charmed into the front line. He can't do anything. They're just going to burst it through front to back here. Navi on the side. Corey still dealing a lot of damage. Trying to hold the break down. Hold the fort down, and Unified's going in for 4. He found 1. Can he get the resets incoming? PSG hold their ground, and they escort Beyond Gaming out of their own turf.
Oh my god, Unified almost had a certified Zeri moment even without those enchanters like the Yumi or that Lulu. Enough protection coming in from the Braum to clear up enough space for him to start outputting that damage. And it definitely was on a knife's edge for the side of PSG to suddenly full flip the situation, but now they're going to be the ones with position onto the dragon.
Yep, it's going to be a while until Usha can make it here, but he is going to be in range. 4,000 HP on the Drake right now. No one wants to get it close enough to finish. Let's see if there's a smite war. Which side does the Drake go to? And it actually resets here. And we have the ricochets on the side. So much damage being done onto Gory already. Likai just takes Gory down onto the side. So Navi trying to run away from the situation. The Drake does go over to PSG, but how many members can they still have left standing here? Unified goes down. Kylie's down. Murray's gone. And that's the triple kill. That's the ace. That's Beyond Gaming. Marching a big step forward to Worlds, a perfect ace with Baron to boot.
Oh my lord, Clement, BYG, they continue to impress in these team fight situations where they're forced to make a play. Boy, do they make a play. That's going to cash in onto a clean ace and the Baron. That is a huge lead against our reigning champions of PSG. This is a very, very large lead. We'll get to see the replay and keep an eye on Likai. He is just continuously zoning Gory off of the fight. So by the time he actually gets close, he's already dead. Likai just does so much damage in that 1v1. And after that, it's just, there's no front line, right? Gory is sort of the big meatball distraction because of his drain tanking capabilities along with the damage. Bury by himself doesn't bring enough of a damage threat for the side of BYG to walk away.
This is what we were talking about. Gory at this point in the game, he cannot act as a front line. Gets caught out on the side there, forced away from the ramp. PSG can't get back into formation, and Beyond Gaming, they get the Sivir resets. This is why these rundown comps are everywhere these days. You get one reset, you continue with the chase down, and there's not much the enemy team can do. Makes it very one-sided sometimes. I think that fight was actually closer without Sivir right there, but big win for Beyond Gaming. They're now up 8,000 gold. PSG have to pull out a miracle. I think the biggest lead we've seen PSG claw back, definitely in the J-Team games, I think that was about 7K. I don't think we've seen an 8K claw back just yet, but I know if there's a team that can do it, it would be PSG in a team fight.
Yeah, and if you talk about clutch factor, PSG is that org that has so much clutch factor to them, right? Because of how veteran their players are.
Oh, the stun goes back onto Wako. Can they kill him before he walks out? Is it enough? He's still alive for now. Gory gets the 1,000 gold shutdown. This might be the turn. Husha also falling down. PSG looking for it. In goes Likai, but he has to force his way through multiple members. They do get Husha out on the end, but no extra kills. Gory holds down the fort for Beyond Gaming. He says not yet. We still want to fight to go for a chance at Worlds.
Kai comes in to help disengage the situation, but for PSG, that is a huge win for them. We talked about the clutch factor, and immediately the 0-kill Swain flashes forward to, or goes forward to get the pick onto the Sivir. They finish him off. And now BYG, you know, those thoughts, perhaps they start churning here. We'll see the replay. Incredible engage coming in from Bury, by the way, because he does get the Ice Bowl landed because of the chain CC coming in from the rest of the kit, which prevents Wako from cleansing all of that CC.
Yeah, Wako actually steps up to the tower range right in front of the Sejuani. Was a little bit of an oopsies for me. His teammates definitely weren't in position, and PSG squeezes the moment. They turn it around.
It was so close,
on a dime. Yeah, he nearly got out, but he does have to burn most of his summoners for that one. So, you know, we could have Gory going in again. He has his flash still. He could sit on that Sivir, take away a large part of that damage.
And over on the flip side, though, PSG, their health bars were incredibly low. There was that opportunity that maybe Likai could have mopped up the rest of the team fight. Definitely an instance where you look at his summoners and think maybe the Ghost would have just straight up mopped that fight, and that would have been Worlds clinch right then and there. But it is going to be now 28 minutes on the clock. BYG still with a really sizable advantage. However, it's without a Baron buff. It's without this extra push power, and it's going to be them just sort of waiting for the next objective to spawn, which is of course very, very soon. And PSG have done enough where, hey, we flipped for that last dragon, secured it, now we can give away this current dragon.
Yeah, it's a really important point. PSG need a little bit more time, I think, especially for Swain to get into the range where he can actually play frontline. That's been the biggest problem for them in team fights so far. Looks like they're just going to give this one away. In return, they do get a lot of warding down onto the top side. Oh, actually, no, not as much as I would have assumed right here. You get a war down into the jungle. And we are just kind of waiting for the Baron play here. Beyond Gaming, I think with their engaged potential, they're going to be very happy to force PSG to make tough decisions and face check some of these brushes.
PSG, they will require the snap decision making of Bury, who has stepped up in this game. It's going to require him being able to land a key ultimate, whether or not it's onto Minji or to Wako. Wako will have cleanse available and also his spell shield. So he is a very difficult target to spot out. But if they do lock him down and they do finish him off, the damage is very, very low on the side of BYG, right? Because you are stacking magic resistance. So this double AP solo laners will find a lot less damage in these team fights.
Really good point that you're making here. It's pretty much kill Wako and then roll the rest of the team. That's the game plan here. They've cut the lead from 8 to 6k now. Only Beyond Gaming indeed setting up Baron like we assumed. They do have a pretty fast Baron take with the Ahri on the Leandres here too. So PSG can't play them too far back. You know, they have to stick around. But they do have double blue trinkets here, so I don't see PSG falling for this one. I think they're going to make them wait. You know, they have Bury in the front line. He should be somewhat unkillable at this point. And they've expended one blue trinket. That's the second one going down now. Beyond Gaming going in, though. Charm doesn't land, a little bit short there. And they spot Hanabi, so they know this is a full 5-minute contest here. Minji is unspotted on the side, looking for that charm. And yeah, PSG, I think with all their blue trinkets, they can play this relatively safe, but this looks to be pretty explosive. Ushot goes in onto Hanabi. He was sitting on a ward and he didn't know about it. Can he survive? He gets them all.
Can they finish him off?
He's got so much.
They don't have the damage.
He's still alive. He can't charge through. Gory's holding down the front here, and we just saw Tito go in, but he misses Gory as he comes out of Zanias. They get the one kill onto Husha. That's the jungle down. That's the Baron pressure gone. And PSG live to fight another day. They're cutting these leads smaller and smaller again and again.
BYG, it's back to the drawing table with this Vi pick. They immediately go in for the engage, but unfortunately, the damage not quite there. Wako. The flash coming in from Hanabi actually puts them far away enough from Wako, and remember, they have a lot of magic resistance stacked. So, the double solo laners isn't enough, but we're going straight into a Baron take. Lekai taking a 1v1.
They're going to smite this one away. Massive amount of gold being
earned
here, and they're going in for more. Beyond Gaming are willing to fight this one through. Husha's coming up to get the chase here. Can the charm land? It does go on to Bury, and in goes the crowd control. First kill already down, and Hanabi getting dangerously low right there. Can he survive? In comes Husha.
Husha's here!
Have the season assist. They're going to finish off everyone. The top side collapses. And even though the Baron is secure, PSG only have their top laner alive. This could be a massive push. 47 seconds onto 40 Gory.
Seconds on the carry.
Can they actually finish this one? Beyond Gaming, they're eyeing for Worlds. They want to go to North America. I don't think Gory's going to be alive for this one. It's Hanabi against the world. Can Hanabi make it here? He's the only thing that's stopping them. Wave. He has the stasis. He needs to cut this one down, but they're going on to him. Stasis is going to buy him some time, but there's still 20 seconds off. Hanabi tries his best, but he's going down. No, the Nexus drops, and congratulations to Beyond Gaming. They are the 6th seed that drop into the lower bracket and make it all the way to the top. They will be representing the PCS at Worlds in 2022.
The dream run is capped by Beyond Gaming. Coming in as the 6th seed, they find the upset against J-Team, they find the upset against DCG, and while they stumbled against CFO, they come back and in a rematch of last year's spring and summer finals, they win out and book their ticket to North America.
I can't believe this. 3 different players on this squad. They kept Benny and Ulala on the coaching staff, and that seems to have played out. They've grown their synergy in some of these players, and they are once again going to represent. On the other end, we do have PSG. This is going to be the first time they miss out on Worlds from the PCS region. You can see that they're having a bit of a sad moment right there. I can definitely feel their pain here. They've done so well in the regular split. They secured that first seed, but I feel a lot of the issues that were in the regular season did come to haunt them in the postseason. The inability to play tempo, the relatively limited roster of their champions that they could master here. And in the end, it will be Beyond Gaming that makes the miracle run.
For PSG, it definitely felt, you mentioned those issues, it definitely felt like they just didn't have enough time to resolve those issues. You feel like perhaps if this was the LEC or LCS where it is a 9 or 10 week season, they find a way to iron out all of those problems. But because I think the core issue of the communication, that ended up being the final hurdle they just could not clear.
Yeah, and well, this is history being written right now. The first time PSG is not going to go forward and represent the PCS. I guess the P no longer stands for PSG in this instance. Huge props to Beyond Gaming. For those of you that are just tuning in, we do want to remind you they lost Doggo, they lost Malwan. He's still around, but he's playing in the secondary leagues. And the top lane they swapped over to League High, so a lot of changes, a very different squad, but they kept the same spirit in this squad. They kept the same daringness, the ability to just find those decisive engages, and they are the epitome of clutch. I think there hasn't been a team that has brought me this much joy just watching them dig themselves out of holes that, quite frankly, a lot of times they dug for themselves, but you know, they climb out of them, which makes things like a hero's journey. It makes it engaging.
The story writes itself is what you're trying to say, and
for better or worse, yes.
Yeah, and BYG will get their opportunity to run it back against CFO, who they did struggle mightily last time around.
Yes.
We'll see what the lessons they learned from this series and their CFO series to bring into the rematch as we get to see the draft here. I think the core change was they shifted over to Sivir priority, and when you have the pick power of Vi Ahri, it really augments the Sivir On The Hunt to truly represent On The Hunt.
Yeah, they were able to get so many chase downs here. I think the Ahri, as you mentioned, with the extra resets, once they got a crack in the team fight, it was just snowball time from then on
and
after.
Kino.
Oh boy. So beautiful.
Kino was truly the MVP of this series because of how many engages he got time and time again. And while the damage may be output by Wako, the engage factors came out from Husha and Kino. They were the major factors in getting the 3 victories over PSG.
It's absolutely amazing here. And you know, I do have to say that I feel really bad for PSG, especially for Gory. He's probably been the best mid laner PSG has ever had, but also the first one to kind of miss this World's opportunity. We're going to be looking at some of the immaculate team fights, especially coming from Kino, as he re-engages something that looked like it was over. It didn't really seem like there was a chance for it, but Beyond Gaming Kino, he sees the opportunity, forces a flash, gets the 3-man knock-up, and honestly, after this, PSG could have still won this fight. Like, it wasn't a guaranteed win.
I mean, it was, the communication. They communicated, hey, we want to just finish off Lee Kai. Unified goes instead, chases for Wako, gets punished in that instance, and that allows the rest of the chase to come through because you get that Ahri reset on the ultimate. And it still wasn't like the game was out of hand for the side of PSG, right? Because they made this dragon fight happen, and even though they get wiped, they still secured the dragon for themselves. which which slowed the game down. However, the fight definitely was not in their favors. The fight execution again was just so clean from BYG. At the very least, this is the real key one, right? PSG, they call for the Baron, they secure the Baron, but once more, it's BYG understanding that they should chase for this fight even with lower health bars.
This is, if it wasn't Hextech Gate, I think PSG would still be alive right here. They're forced to charm back.
Yeah,
Husha making away.
Respawning and then coming in from behind really puts the icing on
the
the
cake. 2 Hextech Gates right beyond PSG. That is, this is why I love the gate, but why it makes games also very hard to predict at times. You can see the real life effects there. So, Beyond Gaming gonna move on, and tomorrow in the finals we will decide who actually can secure the first seed, and that's a world of difference because whoever gets the first seed doesn't have to play into the play-ins there. They can start directly in American soil. So see what happens there. Take a look at the game graph. Honestly, you know, PSG tried to run it back with the same game plan here, but the big differences was just the mid jungle. Vi has a lot more ganking potential early on compared to the Wukong and the native cap.
Yeah, and they were able to play around that pick power so well, and the Rakan was very influential, and all of it was predicated on that first pick Sivir, right? The extra movement speed enabled the rest of the composition to come together, really punish the meatball, slow moving meatball, I should say, on the side of PSG. And Kino gets the MVP, so well deserved. Those engages on Rakan were nuts, and along with his earlier Mumu play, clearly the series MVP.
Just surgical, absolutely surgical from Kino, and I love this guy's story. You know, he's one of the older players coming in from Beyond Gaming, always bringing up new talent here, and you know, he already has a daughter. He's got a lot on his mind all the time, and for him to be able to make it the second time around after losing Doggo, which honestly would have been his prodigy and would have been I think a brilliant future in the PCS, to come back in the second split to make the same impact with Wako here. I think it's an amazing story coming in from Kino. I want to see those dad vibes, to see him shine at Worlds, though he was somewhat limited last time. So we are going to get an interview right after a Rai or two when we come back, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be speaking to Beyond Gaming's one and only Lee Kai.
On the road, sky turns to gold. I've seen the sign on the skyline, the urge in my soul, gotta let go. I've had enough of the hard times, got a taste of the sun, now I gotta reach the horizon, yeah. Are you coming along? Cause I got the current to guide me, let it guide me. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I start anew, sky turns to blue, waving goodbye to the moonlight. I'm gonna drive, follow the lines, leading me into a new life. Got a taste of the sun, now I gotta reach the horizon, yeah. Are you coming along? Cause I got the current to guide me, let it guide me. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. They hit me every morning. I can taste the fear now. It's written on my lips. Woke up on a cold floor with fire in my bloodstream. You're hot and cold, critical. It's written on your lips. I'm tired of waiting in vain while you keep playing this game. We try to maintain what's already over. It's even insane. I guess you like it that way. Be honest and say it's already over. It's already over. It's already over. It's already over.
我是主持人 Leju，首先恭喜 BYG 拿下今天本场比赛的胜利。Hey guys, I'm Richard and welcome to the post-match winner interview. Today we've got none other than BYG's top laner Li Kai. Can you introduce yourself, please? 那今天邀请到上路选手 Li Kai 接受今天的赛后采访，先跟大家打个招呼吧。
好，我是 BYG 的上路立凯。
So, congrats on being the second team from the PCS to make it to Worlds. BYG has waited a whole year to make it back to the international stage, and for you personally, it's your first time going to Worlds. How do you feel? 那首先当然要恭喜 BYG 获得了 PCS 赛区的第2张世界赛门票。那 BYG 是等了1整年，就终于要再次出国了。这也会是李凯选手第1次参加世界赛。那现在感受如何呢？
是那个我好兴奋啊，因为第1次打世界赛，然后没有，也就是 PSG 很难打，然后就觉得既然赢了，然后就非常的开心。
He said that he's really excited. He said that PSG is a team that is very hard to play against. They're very hard to beat. And the fact that they were actually able to beat PSG, he's super happy. And he's also, of course, happy that they're going to be able to make it to Worlds. It's his first time. So, talking about the series today, we know that Unified said in his interview yesterday that he thinks today's series was going to be 3-2, but I don't think anyone expected it to be a 3-2 comeback victory from behind. What are your thoughts about that? What was the team expecting coming into today's series? 那昨天Unified 选手也是在采访中说，他是预测到今天会3-2，但应该没有人会预测到会是让2追3的一个3-2吧。然后想问一下立凯选手以及 BYG 战队在今天赛前是有没有预测到今天会3-2，还是说会是什么样的结果呢？
今天就是觉得大家都要尽力打，尽全力，然后要对自己有信心，所以也没有特别预测到底会几比几。
有没有预测到 BYG 会赢？
就是没有预测到底会几比几，可是我们要尽全部的力气来打这场比赛。
So he said that for BYG, they actually didn't predict whether they would win or whether PSG would win. They had no predictions at all about what the eventual scoreline was going to be. And they said coming into today, what they wanted to do was just to play with full strength and to have confidence in themselves and in the team. So I want to run it back a bit and go back to game 1 and ask you about, there was one instance over in the bot lane where you were 1v3 versus Gory Unified Kaiwing, and you managed to come away with a bunch of kills also. What were the comms like amongst the team? Was your team just telling you to buy time so they could get Baron, or was it your own individual idea saying that you could 1v3? 那第一局后期就是在下路1打3的时候，就是你甚至还击杀了 Gory 还有 Unified。想问就是那是你个人主动认为可以1打3吗？还是说当时队友只是想要你拖一点时间让他们拿巴龙，然后当时的沟通会是什么？虽然 隔了一点时间。
因为那个时候是想说给我去分带，然后看能不能拉扯到他们都来抓我。然后刚好我那时候在分带，我看到勾瑞哥上来，被我挡到那个嘲讽，然后我就想说杀杀看他。然后后面他们下路线都来了，然后我就操作了一下，把勾瑞哥也给杀了，然后刚好又能再杀 Unify。
So
然后队友就顺路刚好吃了8楼。
So he said that actually the team comms, or what his plan was just to side push in the side lane and just bring the wave up towards the towards the inhibit tower. But he didn't really expect that Gory would show up. They were just trying to buy time until some members of PSG tried to stop him in the side lane. And he said that when Gory showed up, he was actually able to block his taunt from the Galio. And so he kind of saw an opportunity to mechanics his way out of that one. And after he got the kill onto Gory, I mean, Unified and Kaiwing also showed up. And he was also able to get the kill onto Unified. But the team's comms at that time were really just kind of to push the wave. And it was kind of a bonus that they managed to get Baron. So I want to ask, you said mechanics. Can you tell us more about the mechanics of that play? 那可以分享一下那时的操作细节吗？
我那个时候就上去 Q 了一下 Gory，然后他就上来顶，然后我就躲掉了，然后他又开了那个 W，然后我用我的格挡掉他的 W，然后晕倒他。我想说来个1秒识破，结果好像差了一点，然后给他按金人，然后按到大飞走，然后后来看到还有那个破绽还在，我就直接闪现 Q 把 Gory 杀了。
So he said that for the 1v1 versus Gory, he started off with the Q initially, and then that was blocked, and then they went for the W after. He said that Gory was able, he saw like Gory try to use his ultimate to run away from the Fiora at that point in time, and then so he just went to chase the Galio down to pick up the kill. So I want to ask about game number 5 and how the team were feeling before that game, because you guys were up initially 2-0 and then suddenly you were 2-2. So what was the team's emotions like at that point? And is there maybe someone on the team who kind of calms everyone down in those key moments? What are comms? 那在关键的第5把之前，队友的情绪会是什么样的呢？然后队友当中通常是谁会在关键的时刻帮大家冷静下来呢？
因为我们前面赢了2把，然后后面又接连不小心输了2把，所以我们到第5把的时候其实是有一点抖的，就是大家都有一点怎么说不太安稳嘛，就是有点不安心的感觉。然
那
后关键时刻我们通常都是 Wako 或 Kino 在帮我们冷静下来，因为我们上中也都蛮激动的。然后都是他们2个来帮我们冷静点。
他们通常会说什么呢？
那个安静，不要一直讲话，冷静一下。
So he said that actually for the team today, since they were up 2-0 and then they were not careful and lost the following 2 games, actually before game 5, the team was feeling quite scared. They were feeling a bit like they had like the shivers and they were feeling a bit uneasy going into that game number 5. He said usually on the BYG squad, their mid, jungle, as well as top are a bit more easily excitable. So usually for the people who can try and calm down the team, it's their support as well as AD carry. They usually say things like, oh, keep quiet, oh, don't be nervous, don't get too excited, that sort of thing in the comms. So my next question I want to ask is that all the analysts have been talking about how your performance from the regular season has been so different from your performance in playoffs. You've improved so much. Can we ask just how you've been able to improve so much in such a short amount of time? 那直播台以及观众朋友们都认为李凯选手就是从例赛到现在的进步是非常的多，然后想问就是在练习方面上，无论是比如说练新脚等，你是怎么努力到变成今天的李凯呢？
我会一直去看 LPL 跟 LCK 的上路的视频，然后一直看他们在玩什么，然后自己也去试试看，看自己适不适合玩这些角色，然后也就是要一直努力的练习吧。
So he said that for him, he very often goes to look for LPL and LCK top laner VODs, and he studies these videos. He sees what the other region top laners are picking in their games, and then he personally will try them out to see whether it's suitable for him. And he's put in a lot of practice like this. So tomorrow, BYG goes up against CFO that the team just lost to 3-1 on Thursday. Will you have any new strats that we can look forward to in tomorrow's final? And how will tomorrow's BYG be different from Thursday's BYG? 那就是明天会再次跟 CFO 碰头。那你们对于上次的落败有找出关键的原因吗？明天会不会看到不一样的 BYG 呢？
我们算是有找出原因吧，就是觉得他们的配合那些，然后营运处理的比我们好。可是既然被我们找到了，那我们就会更知道怎么打赢他们。
He said that, yeah, they do think that they've figured out the CFO weakness or why BYG lost to them. He thinks that CFO are able to, when they have the gold advantage, they're able to make use of that gold very well. And that's something that they will look to change. So the fact that they've seen through the CFO strat means that they'll have an easier time in tomorrow's final. My last question has got to be, who do you think is going to be the summer split champions tomorrow? 那最后一个问题，当然需要问的就是明天谁会是夏季冠军呢？
不用说啊，肯定是 BYG。
好 thank you so much, Li Kai, for the interview. Of course, good luck tomorrow. Rest up well. 好的，那非常感谢李凯选手接受今天的赛后采访。当然要去 BYG 在明天的夏季决赛加油，拜拜。
加油，拜拜，谢谢大家。
It's good to see Lee Kai so happy about that performance. You know, I think he was a great player on Machi. A little bit, unfortunately, he wasn't able to make Worlds in 2021. Now he finally has his dream come true, and you can tell he is incredibly excited. But that being said, we still have a big match tomorrow. And Nightstar, I kind of want you to look into your crystal ball and tell me, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? How do you think Beyond Gaming might have some chances against a CFO, which frankly they did not look competitive against?
Yeah, the games were fairly one-sided, and I think again a lot of that stemmed from the fact that it was the side of CFO that were constantly invading into the bottom half of the jungle from the side of BYG, and against PSG that wasn't really an issue in this particular series. But if BYG want to take the crown, they have to shore up that issue. They have to really contest in that 3v3 or even 4v4 states in order to shove CFO back off of those pockets of vision. And if they're able to control that bottom half of the jungle, I think the dynamic of the series changes a lot more.
All right, we'll see if they can pull that off tomorrow. But first, we're going to have to take a look and give an ode to the fallen right here. Our top two seeds already dropped out of the finals so far. It's going to be the 6th seed Beyond Gaming versus the 3rd seed in CFO here. Quite an interesting turn of events. We did not expect this one to happen. Excuse me, not the 3rd seed, not even the 3rd seed, actually, even lower than that. 4th or 5th seed in the CFO side right there. So, it's been such an interesting split so far. We love to have you here, Nightstar, and you know, I know this might be your last showing on the PCS this summer, so I want to get you for some of your thoughts so far in the split and what has been your most exciting player to watch.
I have, of course, loved BYG as they made their playoff run, and of course, those who know me, I cheered really hard for Frankie Sports. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the job done. And as far as the most exciting player, of course, YSKM. I think everyone just loved watching him and how much he spiced up our league. Of course, Gory, a good big shout out to him being the MVP, but YSKM,
Yes.
the hottest prospect on the market.
How far will PCS go at Worlds, given our 2 teams?
Clearly, it's going to be a PCS Worlds Finals, baby.
Let's go! PCS Worlds Final! You heard it from Nightstar! And don't forget, tomorrow at 5 p.m., we're going to be looking at the finals. It's going to be CTPC Flying Oysters versus Megabank Beyond Gaming. It's the battle of the banks, baby, right on top of the league. And we're going to decide who gets that 1st seed. Remember, tomorrow, you don't want to miss this. You want to find out who gets our 1st seed and represent the League of Legends Pacific Championship Series. Good night. It's been a great time, but we are going to be coming back with an even bigger event tomorrow.